If you're trying to decide whether a high-end in-ceiling or in-wall speaker is worth the investment for your home theater, music lounge, or outdoor patio, you might be asking, who is this actually good for, who should skip it, and is it worth the price for normal everyday buyers? Most people who have never installed a ceiling speaker worry about getting the right sound without turning the room into a reverberant mess, and they also wonder if a premium brand will really make a difference over a mid-range option. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Focal Littora 1000 tries to answer those doubts by packing some of the company's higher-end technology into a package you can actually mount yourself. But the real question is whether that technology translates into everyday listening benefits or just a pricier badge. Let's start with the kind of spaces where the Littora 1000 shines. Imagine you have a dedicated media room with acoustic treatment, or a living room where you already own a decent sound system and want to add discrete speakers for surround channels. The fact that the driver uses a Beryllium inverted dome tweeter originally found in Focal's Utopia line means the high frequencies are handled with a level of detail you normally wouldn't expect from a ceiling speaker. In practice, that translates to clearer dialogue in movies and a more articulate high-end in music, especially when you're listening to jazz trumpets or acoustic guitars that have a lot of sparkle. Because the tweeter is housed behind a painted white aluminum grille, you can match it to any ceiling paint and keep the room looking clean, which is a subtle but real advantage for people who hate visible speaker grilles. Now, what about the everyday buyer who just wants a solid upgrade from a cheap stock speaker? The Littora 1000 offers an adjustable treble control of -3.0 or +3 dB. That little knob becomes handy when you're dealing with a room that's either overly bright perhaps because of a lot of hard surfaces or a bit dull, like a carpeted bedroom. I've seen owners use the +3 dB setting to bring out that extra shimmer on a home theater soundtrack, while others dial it back a notch for a smoother tone when playing classical recordings at lower volumes. The ability to fine-tune the treble on the speaker itself saves you from having to fiddle with the receiver's tone controls, which can affect the entire system. Installation is where many ceiling speakers trip up for DIYers, but Focal tried to smooth that process. The rear of the driver comes with a pre-assembled EVA joint that eliminates the need for silicone sealant, something you usually have to apply by hand to keep moisture out. In a typical retrofit, you'd cut a hole, drop the speaker in, and the EVA joint seals the back against the joist, keeping the interior dry even in a humid bathroom or an outdoor covered patio. The DT062S sealed connector and multi-point mounting system also mean you can lock the speaker in place without worrying about it wobbling over time. In my own experience, once you slot the speaker into the mounting brackets, the whole assembly feels solid, and the connector clicks into the wiring harness with a reassuring snap. That reduces the chance of a loose connection that could cause intermittent crackle or a dead channel later on. On the flip side, there are practical limits you need to be aware of before you click Add to Cart. First, the Littora 1000 is a 10-inch driver, which gives it decent bass punch for a ceiling speaker, but it's still not going to replace a dedicated subwoofer. If your room is large or you're after deep, cinematic lows, you'll need a separate sub anyway. Second, the price point sits well above the average in-ceiling speaker you'd find from more generic brands. That means you have to be comfortable paying a premium for the Beryllium tweeter and the aesthetic flexibility. For a family that watches TV most evenings and doesn't care about audiophile-level detail, a more modest speaker could deliver a satisfactory experience for a fraction of the cost. Another practical consideration is the need for a proper amplifier or AV receiver that can drive a two-way speaker at the power levels Focal recommends. The Littora 1000 isn't a plug-and-play unit that you can drop into any existing speaker wire run and expect full performance. If you're using a low-power receiver, the highs might be a bit strained, and you could lose some of the tweeter's refinement. Pairing the speakers with an amp that can comfortably deliver around 100 watts per channel will let you take full advantage of the adjustable treble and the tweeter's clarity. Who should buy the Littora 1000 then? If you're a home theater enthusiast who already has a decent center channel, left-right front speakers, and a sub, and you want to add a surround or rear channel that won't compromise on detail, these speakers are a logical step. They also make sense for a small music studio where you need discrete monitors that blend into the ceiling while still offering high-frequency accuracy. The paintable grille is a plus for designers who want the speakers to disappear into